Listen closely. There is a secret I want to share with you. A secret so small you might dismiss it, yet so powerful it could change the way you live every single day of your life. The human mind is restless. It leaps like a monkey from branch to branch, chattering, arguing, reacting. Most people never notice that they are being carried away, swept by currents they do not control. They live on autopilot, pushed and pulled by emotions, never truly free. But what if I told you there is a doorway out of that prison, a hidden key that monks, warriors, and mystics have carried across centuries? A practice so simple you can do it anywhere, in the middle of an argument, at the edge of a decision, in the heat of anger or fear. It begins with just 3 breaths. 3 breaths to still the storm. 3 breaths to cut the strings of autopilot. 3 breaths to reclaim clarity, choice, and freedom. Tonight, I will teach you this practice, not just as a technique, but as a mind-hacker way of rewriting the code of your own consciousness. It is called the 3-breath reset, and once you understand it, you will never be the same again. So, sit with me, listen, breathe, let us step into the mystery together. Listen carefully. What I'm about to share is not a trick, not a gimmick, not a piece of fleeting advice. It is older than memory itself. It has traveled silently, carried by monks, mystics, and wanderers across the centuries. It is simple enough for a child to practice, and yet subtle enough to transform the course of a lifetime. We are speaking today about the hidden art of hacking the mind. Not in the way machines are hacked, not by code written in silicon, but by code written in breath, attention, and awareness. And the doorway, the entry point to this mystery, is something deceptively small. The 3-breath reset, the mind as a trickster. Before we go into the method, let us speak of the mind itself. The mind is a trickster. It runs faster than the body, faster than the heart, faster even than the world itself. It leaps forward into tomorrow. It drags you back into yesterday, and it whispers 1,000 voices at once. It tells you stories, some true, most false, and yet you listen. Have you noticed? Before you speak, before you decide, before you react, your mind is already moving, already choosing, already preparing to defend itself or to attack. It is like a warrior drawing a sword before the battle has even begun. And most of us, we live our entire lives this way, on emotional autopilot. Something insults us, we snap back. Something frightens us, we withdraw. Something tempts us, we run toward it without question. All the while, the mind whispers, "This is who you are. You had no choice." But I tell you tonight, that is a lie. The pause between stimulus and response. There is a secret that masters across time have guarded. It is not complicated. In fact, it is so simple that the untrained will laugh at it. But if you hear with the right ears, if you practice with sincerity, you will uncover a freedom you did not know you had. The secret is this: between stimulus and response, there is a pause. That pause is not empty. It is a doorway, a gateway into mastery of the self. Most people miss it because it is so small, so subtle, like a thin line drawn in air. But if you learn to widen it, to step into it, you will no longer be a puppet of impulse. And the simplest way to enter that pause is the 3-breath reset. The 3 breaths reset. The practice is this: before you speak, before you decide, before you react, stop. Take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. On the first breath, notice your body. Where is the tension? The jaw clenched, the chest tight, the shoulders heavy. With one breath, you become aware of the animal of flesh you live inside. On the second breath, notice your mind. Noticing is not controlling. Watch the swirl of thoughts, as though they are clouds passing across a vast sky. Let them drift without clinging on the third breath. Notice the moment, the silence that remains when you are not inside your thoughts or your body's habits. This breath is the doorway itself, the pause between the trigger and the action, and then choose, not from habit, not from fear, but from clarity. 3 breaths. That is all. Why 3 breaths? Why 3? Why not 10 or 1? Because 3 is long enough to interrupt the autopilot, and short enough that it cannot be resisted. It is a wedge, a thin blade that slips into the gears of your mind and stops the machine from grinding blindly forward. 1 breath is too easy to dismiss. 10 breaths may feel like too much when emotions are raging, but 3 is the sweet spot. 3 is sacred. In myths and legends, in ritual and religion, 3 always carries power. 3 steps, 3 trials, 3 knocks before the door opens. And so, too, with the mind, 3 breaths to break the chain of reaction. The hacker's view of the mind. When we say hack the mind, some imagine manipulation, clever tricks, or shortcuts. But hacking, in its purest sense, means understanding the system so deeply that you can guide it in ways others cannot. The mind is a system. It has code, and most people are running code they did not write. The words of their parents, the scars of their childhood, the voices of society. Of these are programs installed in silence. And so the mind runs, often against our own will. But the 3-breath reset is a kind of hack. It does not erase the code. It does not rewrite your past. But it interrupts the loop. It freezes the process for just a moment. And in that moment, you can decide whether to run the old program or to choose a new one. That moment is freedom, a story of the samurai. Let me tell you a story. There was once a samurai, fierce in battle, undefeated in duels. One day, a rival insulted him in the marketplace, calling him coward, dishonorable, a disgrace. The samurai's hand went instantly to his sword. His mind screamed for blood, but before he could act, his master, an old monk, whispered one word, breathe. The samurai froze. He took 1 breath. He noticed his hand trembling on the hilt. He took a 2nd breath. He saw his mind replaying the insult again and again, like a drumbeat demanding violence. He took a 3rd breath, and suddenly he saw not an enemy, but a desperate man, throwing words like stones because he had no sword of his own. The samurai released his grip. He bowed and walked away. That day, the samurai discovered that his greatest victory was not over another, but over himself. 3 breaths. That is all, the science hidden in the mystery. Now, I speak mysteriously, but let us look with clear eyes as well. Modern science confirms what the sages always knew. Breathing interrupts the fight or flight cascade. A slow breath signals to the nervous system, you are safe. It lowers the heartbeat, calms the flood of adrenaline, and shifts the brain from reaction to reason. 3 breaths are enough to change your biology, enough to shift you from the animal brain to the human one, from instinct to insight. So whether you trust ancient wisdom or modern neuroscience, the message is the same. Pause, breathe, reset. Other mind hacks, but all begin with breath. There are many mind hacks, each like tools in a hidden chest. Reframing, choosing a different story about what happened. Noting, silently labeling your emotions as they arise. Anger, fear, joy without judgment. Anchoring, using a physical touch, like pressing 2 fingers together to remind yourself of calm. But I tell you this, all these hacks, however powerful, mean little without the foundation of breath. Breath is the master key. The breath is always here, always yours, always free. And with 3 simple breaths, you can stop being a slave to the mind and begin to be its master. The mysterious invitation. Now, let me ask you, what would your life look like if you practiced the 3-breath reset every day? Imagine before sending that angry message, before speaking words you cannot take back, before making a choice you may regret. You paused, you breathed, you saw clearly. Would your relationships shift? Would your decisions grow wiser? Would you perhaps begin to live not as a puppet of the mind, but as the author of your own story? This is the mystery, so small, so hidden, so easily overlooked, and yet it can change everything. A final teaching. So here is my final teaching tonight. When you leave this place, you will forget much of what I have said. Words fade, stories blur, but the breath remains. So do not remember my words, remember only this. Before you speak, before you decide, before you react, 3 breaths, body, mind, moment, and then choose. That is the hack. That is the mystery. That is the key. And so, we come to the end of this journey. But remember, true wisdom is not in hearing words, it is in living them. What I have shared tonight is not complicated. It is not hidden behind temples or locked inside books. It is always with you, closer than your own shadow. The key is in your breath. 3 slow breaths before you speak, before you decide, before you react. That is all. Yet within those 3 breaths lies the power to break free from anger, from fear, from the invisible strings of habits. Do not underestimate it. Many will hear this and nod, then return to autopilot, forgetting the secret. But you, if you remember even once tomorrow, in the middle of stress or conflict or temptation, you will see, you will taste the difference. And that taste will draw you back again and again until it becomes your way of life. The mind is a wild river, but with 3 breaths, you place your hand on the rudder, you steer, you choose. So when you leave tonight, take this mystery with you, guard it, practice it, and one day, perhaps without even noticing, you will realize you are no longer reacting. You are living awake. 3 breaths, body, mind, moment, and then freedom.